What is up, guys and DC fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is OCD Mirror Reviews. My name is On the Brinker, and yes, I'm back in this hoodie again because now we're in the second film installment in James Gunn's DC Universe, and of course, it's regarding Superman. Today I'm going to review the latest comic book film, Supergirl. This movie is directed by Gillespie, hopefully I said his name right, and this movie stars Alcock, Jason Momoa, and Ridley. And of course, guys, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. I'm not going to spoil any elements from Supergirl. You guys are safe here. Now let's get on to this review. Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, joins forces with an unlikely companion on her interstellar journey of vengeance and justice when an unexpected adversary strikes too close to home. So we are now in the second film in James Gunn's DCU. Now, I think James Gunn so far does a really good job with his DC universe in my personal opinion. I really enjoy Creation Commandos, of course last year's Superman, that's definitely the film that got me really pumped to see where the universe is going, and of course Peacemaker Season 2 is great. So now we're in the second film in his universe, and you know, I was interested in this movie because first of all, I love Millie Alcock. I think she's a terrific actress. Definitely she shows that she is going to be good at Supergirl. After her 5 seconds of screen time, she looks like she's going to absolutely nail it, so I'm really curious to see her own standalone film. And of course the history with Supergirl, we had the terrible 80s movie that's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I'm aware how shitty the movie is. And we got the TV series, which I have not seen, but I heard it's pretty decent. So now we're in the second theatrical film that involves Kara/Supergirl. And, you know, the trailers really do impress me, even though I was a little bit skeptical with its tone and how the movie looks, in my opinion. But it looks like at least it's going to be a fun DC film. And I heard this movie's got a lot of bad buzz, so I was very nervous going into this movie. And what are my thoughts on Supergirl, the second film in James Gunn's universe? Does this movie live up to the hype like Superman did? Unfortunately not. Supergirl is not terrible, I'll say this, it's not a terrible film. It's a fine film overall, but it's pretty much a letdown. Now let's talk about what I really enjoyed about the film. First of all, the biggest positive that I'll give this film is Millie Alcock. She is great as Kara Zor-El/Supergirl. She really pulls it off in this film for the screenplay that she's given, which I'll get back to the flaws in the film, but she does a great job in the film. I thought her charisma is great in the film. She is badass when it comes to the action scenes of the film, and I like the different take that Supergirl is going with in this movie. She plays a drunk in this film, which this movie is taking inspiration from the Woman of Tomorrow comic. That's how James Gunn took that inspiration in making this film. But Millie Alcock, for what she's given, she is really good as Kara Zor-El in the film. But easily, we can all agree the biggest standout of this film is absolutely Jason Momoa as Lobo. He is a scene stealer in this film, whatever scenes he's in. He's not in the movie as much as I wanted him to be, but when he's on screen, he is hilarious in the film. He's a dick in this film. He is badass in this film when it comes to the action scenes of the film. There are some really good standouts with Lobo in this film, and I thought Jason Momoa is really great in the film. I like that he doesn't play kind of like himself. He doesn't play Aquaman in this film. You can tell it's a completely different role for him, and he is awesome in this film. And I want to see his own standalone either film or TV series because Lobo is fucking awesome in this film. And also the visuals throughout the most part look really good in the film. It's a really good looking film overall. And the action scenes, they're enjoyable for watching for what it's given. I think some of the action scenes, even though they aren't memorable, it's still a lot of fun in this film for what it is. And at least the film did not bore me. I at least was a little bit entertained for what Supergirl is going for. Even though there are some flaws that absolutely ruin it, at least I was entertained by the movie. I don't think this movie is like the movie that I would say, oh, it ruined DCU, because it kind of just started at this point. It's kind of like trying to find the identity to kind of build up and stuff. So I feel like a lot of people say, oh, this movie kills the DCU. It's not that bad. It's not like the worst comic book film that I've ever seen. But unfortunately, it just doesn't live up to the hype that I wanted as well. So let's get into my negatives with Supergirl, and unfortunately, the negatives do outweigh the positives here, and easily my biggest negative when it comes to Supergirl is unfortunately the screenplay. Now, the screenwriter of this film, I heard this is actually her very first written screenplay, and you can really tell. And what worries me about that is that she's also going to write a standalone Wonder Woman movie and a Teen Titans movie. I'm getting very worried now because this screenwriting is not that great. Because the story of Supergirl in this film is literally something that we've seen many times in other comic book films before. It's another revenge film. It's another adventure film trying to find a cure for something in the film. It definitely has to do with crypto in this film. But it's also a revenge film that we've seen in so many other comic book films before, which turns this movie really freaking bland. And the thing about this movie is that there are some really interesting aspects in the film, especially when it comes to Supergirl's origin story in this film, her flashbacks in this film. That is one of those things where I can say this film has a huge missed opportunity right there. This film has some parts where it focuses on Kara's flashbacks in the film and Krypton. Those aspects, I'm like, that is when I was invested in the film, and that's the thing that I was very interested in. I wish the film is all about that. But unfortunately, this film doesn't go in that direction. Even though it does show those flashbacks, and I thought it's the most interesting part, this movie is more of Millie Alcock kind of going on this journey to save crypto, and also it's a revenge film for Eve Ridley's character in the film, which I honestly find her really bland in this film. There are some good aspects of her when it comes to the emotional aspects. I think she's good in that, but throughout most of the film, she's very one-note in this film. And I'm not saying this is Eve Ridley's fault, it's the screenplay's fault, because they made her really bland in this film. And I think her chemistry with Kara in the film is cute enough, but it goes in ways you would definitely expect it. And there's so many aspects of the film where I'm like, okay, I know exactly where this is going. This is going to happen. While as Superman, there are some moments that I did not expect it, and I thought it drags the story really, really well with it. Supergirl is like, yeah, this is kind of going back to those old 2000 superhero movies that we've seen way too many times before. And I have never seen so many goddamn needle drops in a film ever. And I know that this is from the director of Cruella that also has a lot of unnecessary needle drops. This film has a lot of that in this film. This is literally a combination between Guardians of the Galaxy and Mad Max. You can really tell for those aspects. And there's a lot of needle drops in the film that just put in the most unnecessary times, or either it just does not make sense throughout the film. There's literally like one action scene I'm like, this is obviously the best part of the film, but then it gets ruined by an unnecessary needle drop in the film where I'm just thinking, why? Like, seriously, why? And we have introduced, to me so far, we have a lot of bad villains in a lot of comic book films, but man, this is probably one of the most terrible villains that I've seen in a long time. Crown of the Yellow Hills in the film, in my opinion, is one of the most bland, hysterical, and terrible villains that I've seen in the comic film in such a long time. I'm not going to say the actor's name, I'm scared to pronounce it wrong, I'm going to put the name right there. I know he's been great in other stuff, but in this movie, I just don't know what he is thinking. He literally feels like he's in the wrong movie here, really. Whenever this villain is on screen, I was honestly laughing of how hysterical this villain is. There are moments in the film where I'm just like, seriously, James Gunn, you're literally taking on that? Easily one of the worst villains that I've ever seen so far in this universe, and definitely in the comic film, since I would say Doctor Doom and Fantastic and Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin. He is that bad in this film. But what really worries me is James Gunn throughout it, because James Gunn did like the screenplay for this movie. He likes this screenplay? I'm getting kind of worried of what James Gunn is kind of going for with this universe. Even though I'm still excited for the upcoming movies in the universe, like Clayface I'm very interested in because it's going for something different. Like when I was watching this film, I was just feeling like, yeah, this just feels like an MCU movie. Like one of those bland MCU movies like the Marvels and stuff, and it's just blended in this film. This film is not one of the worst comic book films ever. I'm not trying to say anything like that. It's not on par with Batman and Robin or Fantastic or Superman 4 Quest for Peace, but definitely this is one of the biggest disappointments that I would say in a comic book film for a while. This movie had so much potential, especially exploring some elements where I'm like, this could go in an interesting direction. I wish the film could have focused on that, but you can really tell this is a very first screenplay. You can really tell that this movie it just doesn't have as much passion or hype than Superman did. So overall, guys, Supergirl was a huge letdown for me. I do think Millie Alcock is really good as Supergirl. Jason Momoa absolutely stole this movie as Lobo. He is badass in the film, whatever scenes he is in. And I did mention Crypto. Crypto is awesome in the film. Not much in the film, but awesome in the film. And the visuals and the action scenes, they're fine for what they are. But I would absolutely say the screenplay really does ruin the film. It turns out to be a cliche, bland superhero film that we've seen many times before in other comic book films. It goes in a direction that I literally was expecting throughout it. So many unnecessary needle drops. We also had a really terrible villain. It's literally like Yeah, this is trying to go for the MCU formula with these really terrible villains. I'm hoping this universe gets better and better. I'm not going to say this movie kills the DC universe. Every franchise has to have a bad movie once in a while. I'm hoping it builds up with Clayface and Man of Tomorrow especially. But yeah, Supergirl, it could have been so much better. I thought the trailers of the film at least made this movie fun, and this movie is fun in aspects, but honestly, the screenplay, the way this movie was written, it's just bland. And this movie is like an hour and 40 minutes long, and I wish this movie could have been much more longer. There are some aspects that do feel rushed in the movie as well. Yeah, I'm hoping this keeps up. I'm hoping this universe is getting better after this movie, because if it keeps going like this, I'm really worried about DC right now. So yeah, Supergirl, definitely one of the biggest disappointments of this year, and I would absolutely give Supergirl a meh rating.
I mean, it's alright, like...
It's really hard to rate this movie either for a meh rating or just go skip this movie, but this movie at least had some entertaining aspects, so it got away with that. It's just fine overall, but I was just really let down by the screenplay of this film. So guys, that is my review for Supergirl. Let me know what you think of this movie in the comments below. Do you like the film, hate the film, or you thought it's okay? Just let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Notify for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.